Hello there you guys, welcome to another one of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider a subscriber to the channel as always. So as I did give you my match reaction earlier on in the Manchester United Cardiff City game, of course Manchester United losing at home to Cardiff City by 2-0. Now you are hearing the vast majority of Manchester United fans of course demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out, but as I did say on my initial match reaction, I am still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I am not demanding him out, because we do need to give him the summer to spend some money. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, maybe some Manchester United fans are basically saying maybe we did give him the job too early, and maybe we should have waited until this point to maybe make a decision whether we're going to give him the job or not. But potentially this is a big summer ahead for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But as I do say, if we do continue this bad run of form going on into next season, that's when I will start to be critical of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and that's when I will start to demand him out of Manchester United. But this is a big summer ahead. This is a big summer ahead for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Of course, obviously he's blatantly made it clear that he wants to bring at least 5 new additions to the club. Obviously, we do need a summer clear out, but reportedly he's going to get a spending spree of around £250 million. But we have got to be ruthless in this summer transfer window, of course, and we do need to rebuild, because potentially you can see the deficiencies in the squad, and you can identify the areas where Manchester United are lacking. So we do have to resolve these problems in the summer, and I do think at least in the next couple of seasons, our aspirations, of course, is going to be fighting for that top 4, because we are a number of years off, from mounting a title challenge up, as I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has admitted. And obviously, with City strides ahead of us, Liverpool strides ahead of us. Obviously, we're nowhere near Manchester City's level, we're nowhere near on Liverpool's level, and I do believe it's going to take us at least a couple of years, to get to City's level and Liverpool's level. So we have got to get our number 1 targets this summer. Talking about it though, it's going to be hard for us, to get the right players to Manchester United. Considering that we haven't got Champions League football for next season. Obviously, we've missed out on that top 4, so we're not in Champions League football for next season. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was basically saying the other week, he still believes that we can lure players to the highest level, even though we're not in a Champions League football for next season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed, he has had quite a few meetings. He has been discussing about our recruitment this summer, but obviously he's going to have his final say on our summer transfer plans. What players come in and what players leave Manchester United. But talking about regardless of who our manager is at Manchester United, of course, and I know there's a lot of Manchester United fans demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out. Regardless of who the manager is, no one is ever gonna achieve what we achieved under Alex Ferguson for 20 odd years in terms of silverware. We are never ever going to achieve what we did under Alex Ferguson, regardless of who our manager is. So we do need to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer time, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made it clear he wants to bring young players in to Manchester United this summer, that can grow, develop and emulate of course into superstars. And as I do keep saying to you guys, it's not all about getting the Galactico players, it's not all about spending a big on players, because as I did say, that doesn't always guarantee you success. So I'm still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I still believe at this moment in time he is the right man for Manchester United. I'm not sure if he can get us in that commanding position where we do want to be. Time will tell when the new season does occur. But as I said, I think we need at least 5 new players to come in. I think we need to get rid of at least 5 players. But obviously, we're not going to. Obviously, the players we do want to leave Manchester United. Obviously, we can't do this in one transfer window. It's going to take a couple of transfer windows, to currently do that. But as I did say, in the next couple of seasons, our aspirations is going to be that top 4. Talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I know he hasn't got a great managerial pedigree. Not to the highest level. He hasn't really got the experience of a manager. Don't get me wrong, he did have it as a player, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but he hasn't really got it as a manager. And we all love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because obviously he was a great player for the club. Obviously, he managed the Manchester United reserve team, where he did watch some of this team at this day and age, grow and develop. But looking at it, none of this squad is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. He's inheriting 11 of Jose Mourinho's players. There's still some players here from Van Gaal. There's still matter here from the David Moyes era. There's still 4 or 5 players here from the Alex Ferguson era. So in that aspect, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding. We do know a lot of money has been invested into the club in the last 5 years or something like like £700 million has been spent. We've had different managers with different philosophies, and I still think it was the right decision for Manchester United to sack Jose Mourinho, of course, because obviously it just didn't work out under Jose Mourinho era, even though Jose Mourinho is a winner. And I think at the time we pointed to Jose Mourinho, I think we may have got him too late. Maybe if we would have recommended Jose Mourinho to come in when Ferguson retired, then maybe he would have done really well with us, Jose Mourinho. Mourinho. But obviously, when he was at Manchester United, even though he did win 2 trophies in his first season with the club, it just didn't work out under Jose Mourinho. Of course, because he had bad disputes with the players. He had bad disputes with the players, he had bad disputes with the board, and he signed 11 players did Jose Mourinho, and he just spent just under £400 million. But Jose Mourinho was the main factor problem at Manchester United, and the players he bought, some of them now are the problem at Manchester United. So we are expected, of course, to orchestrate a bigger summer clear out. But as I was currently saying, so we have been playing catch up at least for the last 5 or 6 years, and so we do definitely know need to rebuild this summer. And obviously the club needs to get a director of footballing, to change the structure of the club. Obviously, there's been quite a few candidate names mentioned. Obviously, we do know Mike Phelan is the assistant manager, but he on a 3-year contract, but he was initially linked with the technical director as well. But I think from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's perspective, he preferred him as an assistant manager. But for me, for my own preference, I would recommend someone to come into full like director as well, who knows about the club. Obviously, someone who's got the experience. And as I did currently say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it was all going well, when he was the interim manager at the club. We beat the likes of Arsenal away, we beat Tottenham away, we beat Chelsea away. We performed a fantastic miraculous comeback in Paris against PSG, and that was one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moments as Manchester United manager. And them expectation levels were exceeded in his first 3 months, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. But it's just seemed to have all gone wrong, since he has got the job permanently. And I don't know why. Is it something to do with different sort of level of pressure? I do not know. And now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's to blame. Some of the blame, does stem from him because he's getting his team selections wrong. His tactics are questionable. Don't get me wrong, the majority of the blame is on the players, of course. The majority of the blame is on the players. And, we're just not scoring enough goals. We're not performing, and we're not being ruthless enough in front of goal. And, some of the blame also, of course, does stem from Ed Woodward. I don't think he's got a clue how to run this football club, Ed Woodward. So I do think we need to get Ed Woodward out of the door. Obviously, there's the possibility that Man United, want to recommend new owners, to come in, because people have been talking a lot about the Glazers. But as I currently said, I still believe, we've got to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer time. But as I did currently say, the players I want, Manchester United, to sign this summer, as I did say, I want at least five new additions in. I want about at least 5 or 6 out of the door. As I did say, showed an interest in quite a few young players, that can maybe last year's at Manchester United, that can grow, develop and emulate into superstars. And there has been quite a few names mentioned, but talking about, players I think, should leave this summer, because we do know one player that's guaranteed to leave this summer, and of course that's Antonio Valencia. We do know he played today, came on in the Cardiff game, Antonio Valencia, but he's definitely on his way out of the club this summer when his contract comes to an end. Obviously, he's been at Manchester United now 10 seasons as Antonio Valencia, so he's been here a decade, he's been a long-serving player at the club. Initially lost his place in the team, because obviously the majority of this season, obviously, for the majority of this season, Antonio Valencia, of course, has been out with injury. I think he's initially been out with a calf injury. So obviously, we're going to need a replacement for Antonio Valencia in that right-back position. Obviously, Ashley Young, again, I don't know why he was selected today. Ashley Young, of course, he needs to leave the club in the summer. I don't think Ashley Young's going to leave the club in the summer, but I'd like him to leave the club in the summer. It was bad business for Manchester United, giving Ashley Young that new 1-year extension, and that was bad judgment for Manchester United, because Ashley Young's now 33 years of age, he's nearly 34. By the time his 1-year extension expires, he'll be nearly 35 years of age. And Ashley Young has passed his sell-by date. He was playing as a left-back today. He primarily does play at right-back, that's where Manchester United mainly put him, but we put him at left-back today, because obviously, Diego Dalot was playing at right-back. But Ashley Young, for me, needs to leave this club this summer, and he's the main factor of the problem. And he has been a long-serving player at the club. He's been here, 7-8 seasons now. Reflecting back when he was young, he was really, really good, when he was a winger, Ashley Young. But he has now passed his sell-by date, and he's won everything he domestically. But we've got to get rid of Ashley Young. I think we need an upgrade to Ashley Young as in that right-back position. I know Diego Dalot's there, but he's the upcoming future is Diego Dalot, and I do believe we need a cover-up for Diego Dalot. But I don't think Ashley Young will leave, even though I do want him to. Talking about Phil Jones, again, selected today, shouldn't have been selected. Phil Jones obviously now sustained another injury, Phil Jones, and I think Phil Jones needs to leave the club in the summer. But again, I don't think Phil Jones is going to leave. Obviously, Phil Jones has been at Manchester United, what, about 7-8 years now. Again, it was bad business for Manchester United, giving Phil Jones a new long-term contract, because comparing Phil Jones and Chris Smalling is a much better defender than Phil Jones, but it was still bad business for Manchester United, giving Phil Jones a new long-term contract. Also giving Chris Smalling a new long-term contract was a mistake, because Chris Smalling's been here, I think this is now his 9th season at Manchester United, of course, and he's also been a long-serving player at the club. But I don't think Smalling or Jones, either of them, will leave the club in the summer. Eric Bailly, now obviously he's out with injury. Eric Bailly, I think Arsenal have been linked to a move for Eric Bailly. Reportedly, Manchester United want to recruit the initial £30 million. We did pay for him from Villarreal back in 2016, was it? It was actually one of Jose, I think it was Jose Mourinho's first signing. Eric Bailly, of course, has been at Manchester United now over 3 years. Initially, he's lost his place in the team, because obviously Solskjaer's preferred the likes of Smalling and Phil Jones. But for me, I like Eric Bailly. He's got great potential, but he is too injury prone. So maybe we should consider, getting rid of him. We can cash in for Eric Bailly. Could possibly, recruit the initial £30 million. Where we did pay for him from Villarreal. So yeah, I think he needs to go. Whether he will or not, I don't know. Marcus Rojo and Darmian, I think that duo are definitely set to leave Manchester United this summer, and that is really good, because I think we can cash in for Rojo and Darmian. We could probably get £30 million, for Darmian and Marcus Rojo, because Darmian's enjoyed a very difficult time at the club. Hasn't really had the chance, just recently, not too long ago, recovered from long-term absence. Talking about Marcus Rojo as well, he's sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. So yeah, I do believe that Rojo and Darmian, will leave the club in the summer. Talking about Nemanja Matic now, Nemanja Matic, I want Nemanja Matic, to leave the club in the summer. I don't think Nemanja Matic, will leave the club this summer, to be quite honest with you, even though I do want him to, because I know in a couple of his games, he has demonstrated, that he can play well. Nemanja Matic is an experienced midfielder. He's aging up now, of course, and he's well Premier League proven, but I've got strong reservations about him. He's too slow, he's too static, too ineffective in that midfield, and I don't think he complements our midfielder, Nemanja Matic. So I think we do need to get him out of the door. I said when we signed him, it wasn't obviously our number one priority target at the time. When we did sign Nemanja Matic, but as I did say, we've got to get rid of him, and I think we need a centre defensive midfielder that's fast and tenacious. Obviously, as I did say, it's bad judgment from Manchester United, letting Ander Herrera, of course, go on a free contract and free transfer. And this is what I don't get about Manchester United. They're running the club is an absolute joke. We've let Ander Herrera, go on a free transfer. Looking at it, but looking at it the other way, we've give Ashton a new 1-year extension, which I don't understand. We've give Phil Jones a new long-term contract, Chris Smalling a new long-term contract, which I don't understand. And this has been the problem with Manchester United. We've been letting too many players, contracts run down, of course, and Ander Herrera is leaving on a free transfer, and he's joining PSG. And analysing it, Ander Herrera has actually been one of our most consistent players. He's been one of our most consistent players, since Alex Ferguson retired, and he's been very good under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as Ander Herrera. Obviously, I know he's just recently got back into the team. I know he didn't play today, but initially just got back into the team, because obviously he'd been injured for quite a while, Ander Herrera. But Ander Herrera has been a really good servant to the club, and mainly Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's midfield trio has been Herrera, Matic and Pogba, but obviously quite a few times he's had to rotate that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, reflecting on the string of injuries that Manchester United have had. But Ander Herrera, he's been a really good servant to the club as Ander Herrera, and as you all do know, at some point, every player's tenure has got to come to an end. We've seen it in the past, with Rooney after 13 years at the club. We saw it with Ronaldo after 6 years at the club, and it does happen eventually, and it's a shame, to be quite honest, because Ander Herrera's still got at least a couple of years left in him. Obviously, he's been at Manchester United, of course, 5 years. Obviously, he's made about 189 appearances for the club in all competitions. I think 130 odd of them have come in the Premier League. Ander Herrera, of course, has agreed, I think, a 4-year deal with PSG. I think he's set to earn around 150 or 160,000 pounds with Paris Saint-Germain, and the personal terms have been agreed. It did initially say that Ander Herrera was demanding 200,000 pounds for Manchester United. allegedly, but reportedly Manchester United were not willing to meet his £200,000 a week wage demand. So potentially, he did say that he's made his decision and he's going to Paris Saint-Germain. He's under Herrera. But as I did say, a good 5 years at the club. He won the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year award back in 2016-17. He's won the FA Cup with us. He's won the League Cup with us. He's won the Europa League with us as under Herrera. He has had rough patches. During his playing tenure as a Manchester United player. Obviously under Mourinho, he didn't really get the opportunities from the start under Herrera. But we do know we're going to have to get a replacement for him, and we do know out there these are better midfielders out there than under Herrera, of course. But yeah, to be fair, under Herrera is not worth £200,000 a week. But it's bad business, letting him go on a free transfer. Of course, we did pay just under £30 million for him from Atletico Bilbao back in 2014. But he is 29 years of age now. He is aging up. But yeah, that's confirmed. He's definitely going. It was actually confirmed yesterday that under Herrera is definitely now going to Paris Saint-Germain on a free transfer. Talking about Alexis Sanchez, he definitely needs to leave the club this summer. Whether Alexis Sanchez leaves or not, I'm not too sure, to be quite honest, because again, as I did say, his wages are totally having a bad effect on this football club, because obviously, he's the highest paid player at the club. He's obviously, the highest paid player in the Premier League is Alexis Sanchez. And as I did currently say, if I'm right, now we've missed out on top 4 in Champions League football for next season. Don't some players' wages, get cutted? Don't they get a pay cut on their wages? If I'm right, I think I read something up about it anyway. But I still think potentially, we need to pay Alexis half of Sanchez's wages off, to get rid of him this summer, because there won't be many teams out there that can afford to pay his wages off. But talking about Alexis Sanchez, he's just been so inconsistent as a Manchester United player. He has sustained quite a few injuries, and since he's come to United, he has become an injury-prone player, because I think this is now his 4th injury. He has sustained as a Manchester United player. We do know initially he isn't first choice, Alexis Sanchez, but we got him 15-16 months ago. At the time we got him, I thought he'd been a fundamental player for Manchester United, Alexis Sanchez. I thought he'd done really, really well for us, reflecting what he did at Arsenal. When he was younger, he played under Pep Guardiola, and he just hasn't lived up to expectation levels as a Manchester United player. But I don't think, it doesn't, I think we need to get rid of him. Whether Manchester United will get rid of him or not, I do not know. So I don't know about that. Juan Mata, he's a player I'd like to stay for another season, Juan Mata, but I don't think he will. I think from Juan Mata's perspective, he's intending on making the move to Barcelona this summer when his contract term expires. I think it did initially say in the media that he's closer to agreeing a 2-year deal with Barcelona. He's Juan Mata, but you do know how much I like Juan Mata. I do really, really like him a lot. He's initially lost his place in the team, even though he did play in the last couple of games, prior to today's game against Cardiff, and he was doing very, very well in that number 10 role. But obviously now he's used him as a squad player. Juan Mata's no longer playing to the highest level. Just recently, turned 31 years of age, lost that yard of pace. But he's been a very, very good loyal servant to the club. He's been here 5 seasons now at Manchester United. He has made over 200 odd appearances in all competitions for the club. But yeah, I think he's set to make a return back to Spain, because he had a lot of experience of playing in Spain when he was young, with Real Madrid and Valencia, and of course he's Spanish himself. And if he goes to Barcelona, obviously Barcelona aren't going to see him as a replacement for Messi out. Obviously Barcelona are going to use him as a squad player, because obviously he's a squad player now at Manchester United. So I think Man United have tried to get him a new 1-year extension at the club. I think he's on about £170,000 a week. Is Juan Mata, but yeah, I still think he's going to be leaving the club. Talking about Romelu Lukaku, yeah, I think with Romelu Lukaku, to be quite honest with you, I think he should leave the club this summer. As I did say, about Lukaku and Sanchez, I do maybe believe at least maybe one of them will leave this summer. I don't think both of them will leave, but there has been a lot of talk about Romelu Lukaku leaving. Obviously, at the moment, he's out with a hamstring injury, and as I did say, Lukaku hasn't got the capabilities, to play to the highest level. Lukaku, obviously, Manchester United paid £75 million for him, plus 15 million in add-ons, which had risen the deal to £90 million. He's still got 3 years left on his contract. He's on about £250,000 a week, but he hasn't really lived up to expectation levels throughout the course of this season, Lukaku, because he's enjoyed a very, very difficult second season with Manchester United, because we know initially Rashford's been first choice ahead of him, and Lukaku can play well. He can look a bit more better, when he is getting that support up front. Romelu Lukaku, he can look a bit more effective, and he's well proven in the Premier League. He has scored a lot of goals in the Premier League, so his pedigree is very, very good in the Premier League. But as I did say, when it comes to him playing the big games, he's a big game bottler. His first touch also concerns me, and he hasn't got that finishing assets. And his agent recently revealed that his future is very, very open. Is Romelu Lukaku's. So he's another player that could be possibly leaving the club. But as I did say, we can sanction Pogba off, we can sanction Lukaku off and all that. It's going to help us with our rebuilding process. It's going to help us with our transition, of course. So yeah, we are expected to orchestrate a bigger summer clear out. But yeah, Solskjaer's looking to buy a squad worthy of the club's history. But yeah, as I did currently say, we're getting £250 million. It's £250 million this summer. We can sell Lukaku, we can sell Paul Pogba. That's £200 million plus there. So that's going to help us with our transition. And talking about De Gea, I don't know what's going on with him at the moment. Obviously, Manchester United have not yet come to an agreement to get David De Gea a new contract at the club. Obviously, David De Gea, obviously if he leaves the club, obviously, we're going to need a replacement for David De Gea. Talking about David De Gea, though, maybe a goalkeeper of his calibre, wants to be playing to the highest level, wants to be up there competing and winning trophies, of course. And he was talking about this a while back, about, his ambitions, to be up there in Champions League football and stuff and, being up there competing. And obviously, at least Manchester United are a number of years off doing this, of course. And De Gea has been a good loyal servant to the club. He's been here 8 seasons, of course. Obviously, he's won the Smart Busby Player of the Year 3 times out of the last 4 years. He's won the Club's Player of the Year 4 times out of the last 5 years as David De Gea. He's made over 300 odd appearances in all competitions for the club. But yeah, he's been a really, really good servant to the club as David De Gea. Obviously, was going through a difficult period, when he was making then costly errors. But you can't say basically, that David De Gea has cost us the top 4. But David De Gea has been heavily linked with a move to Paris Saint-Germain. I think he's been linked with a 90 million move to PSG. Obviously, we do know that Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. Obviously, Real Madrid were on the brink of getting him in 2015, David De Gea. I think he did say De Gea wanted around £350,000 a week, if he was to sign a new contract with Manchester United. But reportedly, he did say Man United were not willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demand. So if we can't come to an agreement to get him a new contract, we'll want to cash in for him this summer rather than letting go on a free in the summer of 2020. So he could be possibly out the door, could David De Gea. But talking about, the potential players, we do know that Manchester United have been interesting. But the question I'm going to ask you guys, what players, would you like to get recommended, to come to Manchester United this summer? Because maybe some people are saying we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer because we are aware that these players out there for a reasonable figure. As I did say earlier on in the video, it's not all about getting the Galactico players. It's not all about spending big on players because that doesn't always get you to that commanding position, where you do currently want to be. Because Manchester United have got a history of spending big on players, as I've already spoken about with you. And so what players would you like to come to Manchester United? Of course, there has been a lot of talks about Swansea City's Daniel James, a hell of a lot of talks about Swansea City's Daniel James. Daniel James is very, very young. He's only 21 years of age. Is Daniel James. He did say Man United are closing in on a deal for around £15 million for him. I think he primarily plays on the left as Daniel James. Obviously, he hasn't played to the highest level yet. Obviously, he's only 21. So far, he's been at Swansea a number of years now. As Daniel James, I think initially Swansea got him from Hull City for around £72,000. But he's had a really, really good season this season in the Championship as Daniel James, and that's attracted interest, from quite a few other teams. He's 21. He's a Welsh international. I think he's played about 30 odd times for Swansea this season. He's still got a year left on his contract with Swansea. But yeah, there has been a lot of talks about him. But he is a shock name that's been mentioned. He's a low expectation. He's a cheap acquisition. Is Daniel James. Do you think he'd fit the Manchester United agenda if he was to come in? I think he's supposed to be more effective from that left-hand side, but I think you can put him on the right, but he's supposed to be more effective from that left-hand side. I think you can also put him as an attacking midfielder, Daniel James. So that could be actually one of Manchester United's first signings. Of course, he's very, very young indeed, because Solskjaer wants to bring young players in, as he has confirmed. Solskjaer, of course, has confirmed, that he does want to bring young players in. And obviously, Daniel James has been mentioned. He's been one of the names that's been mentioned. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hasn't really, commented in. He's refused to basically, comment on, on the speculation, linking Daniel James with a move to Old Trafford. But yeah, he primarily plays on that left-hand side. So do you think it'd be the right solution for Manchester United? Obviously, as well, we do need 3 new additions in that midfield. I would believe, and I think the right replacement for Paul Pogba would be Bruno Fernandes. Now, I think we're in the driving seat of getting our pursuit of Bruno Fernandes, because as recent reports have reflected out, saying that obviously the champions Manchester City have obviously as you all know have won the league. Of course, they've won back-to-back titles, the first team to retain it since 2009. Manchester City of course were interested in Bruno Fernandes. They were heavily linked with him. City were in negotiations with Sporting Lisbon over around a deal with £47 million of Bruno Fernandes. He did say City were willing to offer a couple of their players as part of the deal, but now recent reports have mentioned saying that City have dropped their interest in the player, and now this is given a chance for Manchester United to go in for him. Obviously comparing us and City, obviously City are strides ahead of us, so a player of Bruno Fernandes' calibre, Manchester City of course would be more an attractive option for Bruno Fernandes, but I think City have opted out of the race. Bruno Fernandes got an initial release clause of 85 or 86 million pounds. He did say that Sporting Lisbon want around 60 million pounds for him this summer. I think that's what is initially valued. That is Bruno Fernandes, but I think he'd be fantastic if he was to come to Manchester United. We need creativeness in that midfield, someone that can score goals from that midfield. And Bruno Fernandes can do that. He's got 30 odd goals this season. He's got about 16 or 17 assists as Bruno Fernandes, and he's done fantastic. And I think if he came to the Premier League, he would produce and deliver the same element of the performances that he has been doing throughout the course of this season with Sporting Lisbon. I think he's been at Sporting Lisbon a couple of seasons. Bruno Fernandes, when he was younger, he had a lot of experience playing in Italy, with Udinese and San Pandora. But I think he's primarily an attacking midfielder, so he's been on Manchester United's agenda, and he's 24 years of age, is Bruno Fernandes, and of course he's still got a lot of years ahead of him. So there has been a lot of talks about him going on, and I would see him as a replacement for Paul Pogba. Talking about Paul Pogba, he was very, very poor today, and his performances have been really, really poor, for quite a while now. With Paul Pogba's, they haven't, because we've, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's come in, we have seen glimpses of Paul Pogba's, best form, especially when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was the interim manager in his first 3 months. But Paul Pogba now he's just playing like he's not interested in being at the club, and he's just emphasising that he doesn't want to be at the club. Paul Pogba, based on his poor performances, and that he's intending on making a move to Real Madrid this summer. But as I do keep saying, we can get around £130 million for Paul Pogba at least. At least we can get around £130 million for him. Recent reports did say Man United were demanding around £160 million for Paul Pogba, but I don't think Real Madrid, financially can afford to pay that for Paul Pogba. But Real Madrid have been heavily linked with Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba was talking a lot about Real Madrid about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Obviously, it's one of Zinedine Zidane's main priority targets, because obviously Zinedine Zidane is emphasising his targets for this summer, but he's identified his 2 targets, and of course that's Paul Pogba and of course Chelsea's Eden Hazard. Paul Pogba, of course, he's still got 3 years left on his contract with Manchester United, but at least in the last couple of weeks, Paul Pogba's agent Raiola has been in the process of finding him a new club. Obviously, Manchester United paid £89 million for Paul Pogba, so he's our most expensive signing. And obviously, last year he was heavily linked to a move away from Old Trafford, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. He was linked with his former club Juventus. He was also linked with a move to Barcelona, and there were still reports coming out, was it a couple of weeks ago, saying that his former club Juventus are still interested in re-signing him, but obviously now it can't happen now anyway. He can't make a return to Juventus, because obviously it reportedly said that Paul Pogba's agent Raiola has been given a 3-month transfer ban by the Italian FA. It didn't really provide a reason of what I read up of it anywhere, but this does mean now that Raiola can't conduct any transfers in Italy for the next 3 months. So this obviously doesn't affect, Paul Pogba making his dream move to Real Madrid, but maybe a player of Paul Pogba's calibre, wants to be playing to the highest level, wants to be up there competing and challenging and stuff, and maybe wants to play amongst better players, of course, and he isn't getting this at Manchester United. And recent reports were saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Paul Pogba's relationship is slowly fading away. So it's looking like Paul Pogba's on his way out, but mainly I've seen the best of Paul Pogba, when Ander Herrera's been mainly involved in that midfield, because when Ander Herrera plays in that midfield, of course, he frees up Paul Pogba, of course, and yes, I do probably think Paul Pogba's on his way out. But other midfielders, that have been mentioned as well, and as you all do know today, there has been a lot of talks about Everton's Idrissa Gueye in the media. He's also been mentioned, and obviously, Manchester United, would emphasise him as a replacement for Ander Herrera. Obviously, comparing between Idrissa Gueye and Ander Herrera. Of course, they are both the same age. They're both 29 years of age. You could say out of both players, you could say Ander Herrera is a better player because you can analyse it. You can say Ander Herrera's had better of the career than Idrissa Gueye, of course. But obviously Ander Herrera's leaving. And do you think Idrissa Gueye would be the right solution? Do you think it'd be the ideal replacement for Ander Herrera? Reports are saying that Man United are eyeing a transfer bid of around £40 million for Idrissa Gueye. It did initially say that Everton are very, very adamant now that he wants to leave the club. And I think reportedly Everton are demanding that they want around a figure of around £40 million for him, and Man United are eyeing up a bid of around £40 million for Idrissa Gueye. As I did say, he's 29 years of age. He's primarily, I think he's a defensive midfielder. He's primarily a defensive midfielder. Idrissa Gueye, and he's been in the Premier League a number of years now. As Idrissa Gueye, of course, he's made 134 appearances in the Premier League. Obviously, I think it's about 134. The majority of his appearances have obviously become as an Everton. Of course, I think he's made 99 appearances for Everton in the Premier League. He made his 99th appearance today for Everton. I think when he was at Aston Villa, where he only spent one season, I think he made about 34 or 35 appearances for Aston Villa. But Everton are demanding over 5 times more than what they initially paid for him, because obviously Everton paid just over £7 million for him from Aston Villa. Obviously, when he was a lot younger, Idrissa Gueye, obviously he played for Lille when he was a lot younger. He's still got 3 years left on his contract with Everton. It's also said that PSG have been interested in him. Obviously, PSG would heavily link to him, back in the January transfer window. But I think PSG had a couple of bids turned down, because I think in January Everton were demanding that they wanted around £40 million for him. So yeah, do you think he'd address our deficiencies very, very well if he was to come in? Do you think he'd blend in very, very well in our midfield? But I don't think actually Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is intending on bringing any short-term players in, because he wants to bring young players in. And Idrissa Gueye is 29 years of age. So potentially, looking at it, Idrissa Gueye is aging up, of course, but he's well Premier League proven. So there has been a lot of talk about that going on. Potential other midfielders, we do know that West Ham's Declan Rice has been mentioned. There's also been a lot of talk about him going on. Borussia Dortmund's Jadon Sancho. Now, I don't think we're going to get a deal over the line for Jadon Sancho, even though he has been the club's number one priority target as Jadon Sancho. Because obviously, reports were coming out yesterday, as I did give you an update on, saying that Jadon Sancho is intending on staying at Borussia Dortmund at least for another year. So he's set to reject a £100 million move to Old Trafford. And I think from Borussia Dortmund's perspective, they are very, very convinced. They are very, very convinced that he will stay at Borussia Dortmund, Jadon Sancho. Man United have got the financial power to meet his valuation, because obviously he's valued at around £100 million. He's 19 years of age. He's one of England's hottest prospects, Jadon Sancho. I think he primarily plays as a winner, but you can put him as a central midfielder, Jadon Sancho. But Man United have been heavily linked with him, for some time, of course. And I think he'd blend in very, very well in our attacking line. I'd love us to get a player of Jadon Sancho's quality, but as I did say, it's going to be very, very tough anyway, because obviously we're not in Champions League football for next season. But I think he wants to remain loyal to Borussia Dortmund. So it's looking likely he'll continue playing his trade in Germany next season with Borussia Dortmund. And he's had experience of playing in the Premier League. He had a couple of years at Manchester City, of course, but never got the opportunity at Manchester City. And this is the main reason why he left City and went to Borussia Dortmund. So it's looking likely we've missed out on Jadon Sancho, which is very, very disappointing. Looking likely we have missed out on Jadon Sancho, which is very, very disappointing. Obviously, at that right back position, there was a lot of talks about Crystal Palace's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but also looks like we've missed out on Crystal Palace's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and we won't be getting him this summer, because reports were coming out a while back saying that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is fully committed to Palace and he's intending on staying at Crystal Palace for another year. So it looks like we've missed out on him. And we've been linked with quite a few central defenders, and we do need basically someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line. Obviously, a lot of Manchester United fans, would like to see Toby Alderweireld, come in. Obviously, I think he'd be a fantastic upgrade, of already what we've got in defence at the moment. Obviously, he's available for a reasonable figure this summer, and he's a cheap alternative. He's available for £25 million this summer, and that's Toby Alderweireld's release clause for this summer. £25 million. Obviously, he's refused to sign a new contract with Tottenham. Don't get me wrong, you know, I have got strong reservations about Toby Alderweireld now, don't get me wrong, because he's age 30, he has lost that yard of pace, but he has been on Manchester United's agenda for quite a while now, because obviously, you know, we were linked with him last summer, but obviously, you know, we couldn't come to an agreement to get him last summer. We do know Alderweireld is not on the same levels as the likes of the Rafael Varans, the Koulibalis, you know, the top elite world-class central defenders, but looking at him, he's a much cheaper alternative, is Toby Alderweireld, so he has been linked with a move to Old Trafford. Obviously, as I did say, the likes of Koulibaly, I don't even see Man United getting Koulibaly this summer, to be quite honest. And obviously, he did initially say that Eddie Woodward has told Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, to get a centre back, you know, that will break the world transfer record. And obviously, it's going to break the world transfer record, you know, to get Koulibaly on the board. But maybe a player of Koulibaly's calibre again wants to be in Champions League football. But if he is for sale, he's going to cost you at least around 100 or 110 million pounds. His Koulibaly, highly experienced, never played in the Premier League. He hasn't played in the Premier League yet. You know, he's 27 years of age, nearly 28 years of age. But he's Manchester United, of course, have been long had eyes of him. Talking about Rafael Varane, I don't think we'll get Rafael Varane because Real Madrid are reluctant to sell him. I think the only chance we'd have of getting Rafael Varane would be as part of a deal for Paul Pogba. And obviously, you know, discarding the swap deal, you know, discarding his release clause, you know, to be triggered. And if he was for sale, you know, he's going to cost you way over £100 million. Is Rafael Varane, you know, he's age 25, but it's remarkable what he's achieved as a Real Madrid player for the 25-year-old. But yeah, Man United have been linked with Rafael Varane, but there has been a host of central defenders, of course, that Manchester United have been linked with. But as Dick Kilty say, we've got to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, the summer to spend some money, you know, see who we can recommend coming into the club. We'll see who leaves the club in the summer. Obviously, back in January, you know, we saw Marian Fellaini, you know, leave Manchester United, so you can say we do need a replacement for him. So you can say we do need a replacement for Marian Fellaini, but there's big problems now at Manchester United. But as I said earlier on in the video, we are never ever, regardless of who Manchester United getting as manager, and regardless of who his manager is, we're never ever going to achieve, you know, in terms of silverware, you know, what we did under Alex Ferguson. You know, no matter who we're getting, we could get Pep Guardiola in. We're never ever going to achieve, you know, what we did under Alex Ferguson for 20 odd years. But you've got to sometimes, you know, give managers time. Of course, I know the board is a lot more stricter now, you know, if you look at it. But you know, when we had Alex Ferguson, he didn't win out for 4 seasons. Ferguson did not win out anything for 4 years. He was on the verge of getting a sack. He didn't, and look what happened then. You know, the amount of success, the amount of years, you know, we had that success under Alex Ferguson. So as Dick Kilty say, the club's been playing catch up for the last 5 or 6 years, and so everyone's to blame. You know, the players. Some of the blame is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Some of the blame stems from Ed Woodward, and so I do agree that we need a structural change at the club, and that's obviously, you know, getting a director of footballing, but I just don't want us to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because that's a wrong decision to make. Because one, you know, I still think we've got to give him the summer to spend money. 2, we haven't got the structure, you know, to keep sacking our managers, because we've already sacked 3 managers, you know, since Alex Ferguson retired. So we haven't got the structure, you know, to keep sacking our managers off. So we'll see if we can get him in the summer anyway. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribing to the channel, as always, we'll be back tomorrow with some more videos, hopefully, if I'm not too busy. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel, as I said. If you do consider subscribing, as I said, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching, guys.